is Synthia McIntosh, and I welcome you to Nuggets of Truth broadcast. On today, I want to share a word with us, and it is simply this: Jesus is our good shepherd. I want to share this word today because God created us to need a good shepherd. And there are what I call counterfeit shepherds on this earth. Gods like Buddha and Allah. You have the New Age movement who wants us to be our own shepherd. And then you have movements that take us directly into Satan being our good shepherd. But the good shepherd that God has provided for us is Jesus Christ. There is none like him. In this age and the age to come, you could search throughout all the galaxies of the world and you'll find none like him. And what I love about Jesus is that Jesus will prove to us individually and collectively that he is the greatest. Jesus is our good shepherd. And I share this word today to encourage us to hold on to Christ despite any battle that we're facing. Because you see, Satan wants us to let Christ go from our lives. He wants us to turn our backs on him. Satan wants us to give him space in our lives to destroy us. And the only reason Satan can get that space is if we separate or never give our lives to Christ. There may be some listening to me right now where you have not made a decision. I encourage you to make a decision as soon as possible. And even now, if you want to make a decision, all you have to do is to acknowledge Christ as the Son of God and accept his act of sacrificial giving on the cross of Calvary. If you believe it in your heart that he is the Son of God and you confess it with your mouth, you are saved. You are on the Lord's list of the redeemed. And beloveds, when we make that decision of salvation, which is so simple and yet so difficult in some of our lives due to the trial and tribulations that we're going through. You see, Satan does not want you to know and accept Christ as your good shepherd. But he is the best thing in your life. He's better than any power on this earth. He's better than the person that you trust the most. And know this, that the person you trust the most, who have blessed you and helped you to grow, is just a reflection of who Jesus is. Jesus is the greatest. And I love sharing this thought today because time is running out. Jesus is coming back for his people. And those of us who stay in the fight, and oh yes, it's a fight to stay on the Lord's side. And the good news today is you have the victory today because Christ is your good shepherd. A shepherd will do three major things in our life: a natural shepherd and our spiritual shepherd. A shepherd will feed us. They will give us what we need to grow and to stay alive. They will guide us. They'll guide us to the place where we can get that nourishment. And the great thing that they will also do is to shield us. They'll protect us from the enemy that will try to come in to our homes, on our jobs, who will try to attack our children. God will, through Christ, will shield us to protect us. And we need this because as sheep, we are created not to live without a shepherd. We are created to have a good shepherd in our lives. We are created to have a shepherd to do three things: to feed us, to guide us, and to shield us. I really do believe in all of our lives, we will all have battles that we cannot conquer unless we allow Christ into our life to give us the victory. There are things that we were not created to conquer by ourselves. We need Christ to get us through what I call seasons of trial and tribulation that would devour us. I love that scripture in the Bible which says, if it had not been for the Lord on my side, I don't know where I would be. I believe the psalmist wrote those words because he knew and understood that the battle is not ours, but it's the Lord's. You see, we cannot be victorious in a battle that doesn't belong to us. Some battles must be dealt with on a spiritual realm. And because of the greatness of God, we are more than conquerors through Him, through Christ that loves us. Jesus is our good shepherd. And to take us in depth more on this thought, I want to take us to John chapter 10. For this scripture takes us into more understanding through the voice of Christ. For this is Christ speaking in this chapter. In most Bibles, a lot of Bibles, they will put in writing the color of Jesus' words in red. And you'll see a lot of red in John chapter 10. And I want to start reading here to support what I've said, that Jesus is our good shepherd. Jesus says in John chapter 10, it says, most assuredly I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs up some other way, the same as a thief and a robber. But he who enters the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep. He goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. Now in this text that Jesus speaks here, it talks about several main things. It talks about the sheepfold. It talks about the thief and the robber. It talks about a door. It talks about a doorkeeper. And then it talks about a shepherd. And then it talks about sheep. Now in this text, the sheepfold is the earthly realm. For Jesus says, he who does not enter the sheepfold, which is the earthly realm, by the door, but climbs up some other way, the same as a thief and the robber. Now in this text, the sheepfold is the earth, and the way to enter this earth, the right way, is through the wound. And so this means that the sheepfold is the earth, and the door is the wound of a woman. But then it talks about someone who tries to get into the earth some other way. It says this person is a thief and a robber. And in this text, the thief or the robber and a robber is Satan. For he tries to enter in some other way, but he cannot enter in through the wound of a woman. So this text says, he who does not enter the sheepfold, the earth, by the wound, but climbs up some other way, is a thief and a robber. You see, in this text, Jesus is trying to let us know that he is the good shepherd. There's another shepherd trying to steal your allegiance from God, but I am the one. And Jesus really had to make that clear in his day and even today, because there are many satanic forces on this earth who have tried to come in to our lives, but they're thieves and they're robbers. You see, a good shepherd will feed us, guide us, and shield us. They will give us what we need as sheep. But a counterfeit shepherd, one who tries to come into our life outside of the wound of a woman, is a thief and a robber. He's a destroyer, a killer. Jesus came, beloveds, to be to us what these counterfeits want to be. But you see in this text, and I'll keep reading here in John chapter 10, he said, to him the doorkeeper opens. Yeah. The doorkeeper opens and the sheep hear his voice, who is Jesus, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. You see, Jesus is in this text is talking about his great assignment of him coming into the earth through the womb of a woman, and then calls his sheep by name. He called his 12 disciples. He's calling and reaching out to each of us today. He's leading us out. He said he leads them out, and when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. Now you see in this text a very important truth about us as sheep who need a good shepherd, is that we were created to know the voice of Christ. Christ was created to have a connection with each and every one of us. We have a choice to respond to that voice or to not respond. Those of us who do not respond will die and live in utter darkness for all eternity. For you see, there's no way out from under the laws of God, who has made Christ our good shepherd. And to those of us who do respond to the voice of Jesus Christ, we have Christ who provides us nourishment, who guides us and shields us. We have the benefits of having Christ in our life. And I love sharing this truth today because you see, the enemy is a deceiver. He is a devourer. He wants to keep us from the one that God created us to be with. You see, Jesus is somebody that we cannot live without. Literally, we cannot live without him, naturally or spiritually. You see, there is a devourer in the earth that wants to destroy us. And without Christ, we cannot get around the destruction. I want you to know today that Jesus is your good shepherd. And I pray that you hold on to him with everything that you got. Well, beloveds, I've got to go. God bless you, and I hope to share again with you on next week.